Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saree announced that Yemeni armed forces fired a salvo of ballistic missiles at what he called vital enemy sites in the occupied Jaffa area, the Houthi designation for Tel Aviv. Saree said the operation was coordinated with Iran and Hezbollah and had achieved its objectives, a claim no independent source has confirmed. The coordination claim is the line that carries the most weight. If that account holds, it would suggest the Houthis see themselves as operating inside the same resistance axis as Tehran and Hezbollah, not acting in isolation. Saree added that the Yemeni armed forces consider their intervention gradual and that they will not stop at this level. He said the severity of future operations will be determined by whether Israel and the United States escalate or de-escalate. That framing is meant to tell Washington and Tel Aviv that further bombing will bring deeper Yemeni involvement, while any de-escalation could affect the pace of Houthi attacks. The Houthis have now publicly placed themselves inside a war that already stretches across Iran, Lebanon, and the Gulf. Adding Yemen means bringing the Red Sea, the Bab el-Mandeb, and a missile force that has already shown it can reach Israel and threaten shipping lanes.
Brothers, our armed forces, with the help of Almighty God, have carried out a military operation using a salvo of ballistic missiles targeting vital enemy sites in the occupied Jaffa area. This operation was carried out in coordination with our fellow fighters in Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon. And by the grace of God, it successfully achieved its objectives. The Yemeni armed forces affirm that their military intervention in this important and exceptional battle is a gradual intervention. And that after placing their trust in God and seeking His help, they will not stop at this level of intervention and will respond to upcoming developments according to the escalation or de-escalation determined by the enemy.
Israeli assessments said Hezbollah fired more than 50 rockets toward northern Israel during Passover. Sirens sent large numbers of civilians across the north into shelters. One rocket struck Kiryat Shmona, injuring 2 people. A separate barrage of around 5 rockets was launched toward the Krayat suburbs near Haifa. The IDF said most were intercepted while others were allowed to fall in open areas according to protocol. No injuries were reported from that salvo, but 50 rockets during a holiday when families are gathered at tables is not a probe. It is a statement. The shelters that opened during Passover were meant for brief emergencies, but this barrage turned the holiday itself into part of the battle. The civilian toll is climbing alongside the military one. Israel's health ministry said 118 injured people were admitted to hospitals on Tuesday, bringing the total treated since the war began to well over 6,000. That number includes soldiers, civilians, and people affected by debris, shrapnel, and the secondary effects of sustained bombardment. The war is now producing a hospital workload measured in the thousands, far beyond the pace a short emergency was supposed to generate. The military cost is measurable in names. 4 soldiers were killed fighting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Captain Noam Madmoni, Staff Sergeant Ben Cohen, Sergeant Liran Ben Zion, Staff Sergeant Maxim Entis. Ben Zion was killed by an anti-tank missile. His funeral was held in the central town of Holon. His mother spoke at the burial. Enough already. Enough of these funerals. Enough of this pain. Children lying here in the ground. What are all these lives worth? What is life worth? Enough of wars. Please make peace already. Those words were spoken on Passover week, in a war that the government says is going well, by a mother who just buried her son. Dozens of soldiers were reported wounded over a 24-hour period. The latest confirmed fatalities included personnel from the Nahal Brigade. Israeli reporting says 10 soldiers have been killed in the Lebanon offensive since early March, while the number wounded has climbed into the hundreds. The casualty rate is accelerating. The first weeks produced single-digit daily wounded figures. If that casualty trend holds, it would suggest Israeli ground forces are pushing into terrain where Hezbollah's defenses are more layered and more lethal. The troops are not retreating. They are advancing into the kill zones that Hezbollah has spent years building. The wounded are arriving from multiple types of engagement. One soldier was moderately injured by shrapnel when a rocket struck nearby. 3 reservists sustained light injuries after a drone exploded near their position. The mix tells you what Hezbollah is doing. Rockets from one direction, drones from another, anti-tank missiles from a third. Each type forces a different response. Rockets require Iron Dome. Drones require short-range air defense. Anti-tank missiles require dispersal and cover. Hezbollah is using a system of weapons designed to ensure that no single defensive posture covers everything. The back-to-back nature of the incidents points to sustained pressure rather than isolated engagements.
Hello there, everyone. It is very nice to see you. It's quite clear that the United States and the Zionist regime are using the facilities of countries in the region to attack Iran, and under such circumstances, international law and the right to legitimate defense allow us to target the source and origin of these aggressions in defense of ourselves. Just in the past few days, there have been reports that American fuel tankers are operating at bases in Saudi Arabia. Neighboring countries face the same situation. Our demand is clear. We expect regional nations under international law to stop the US and Zionist regime from using their territory to attack Iran. The United States and the Zionist regime are abusing the facilities and territories of these countries to attack Iran.
There is also a political initiative to end the war.
We have had no negotiations with the United States. What has happened so far is that the United States has submitted a request for negotiations along with a set of proposals which have reached us through some intermediaries, including the President of Pakistan. Our position is very clear. Right now, as the United States military aggression and attacks continue intensely, every single one of our dedicated efforts and the entirety of our available resources are fully committed and devoted to the task of defending ourselves. We do not sincerely or honestly consider these specific claims to be genuine. The information that has been conveyed to us, no matter what you want to call it, under any title you choose, whether it's a 15-point proposal or more or less, the requests have been extremely excessive, unrealistic, and illogical. The meetings that Pakistan is holding with neighboring countries are a framework they have established themselves. We have not participated in this framework. The fact that regional countries, neighboring countries, are concerned about peace and security is, of course, a positive and welcome thing. If our membership in the treaty is supposed to be just a name on a piece of paper for us, and not only are we unable to benefit from the rights stated in it, but we are also subjected to violations and injustice, then what is the point of being a member of this document? We still remain a member of this document, and as long as we are members, we are certainly committed to fulfilling the obligations stated in it. Even more regrettable than this criminal act is the indifference of the agency and the Director General himself. In fact, for the umpteenth time, they have taken a very wrong approach regarding the aggression, specifically the military aggression of the United States and the Zionist regime against Iran's nuclear facilities, and instead of condemning the aggressors and holding them accountable. In his interviews, he uses phrases and statements that make the problems even more complicated. The countries in the region that he has traveled to are certainly smarter than to permit an individual leader who has subjected his very own nation and its people to the horrors of an incredibly violent and devastatingly destructive military conflict that has persisted relentlessly throughout the entirety of the past 4 years and has caused such tragedies for the good people of Ukraine, permit him the opportunity to attempt to extort money from them. If a regime claims to represent the people's sovereignty, and if democracy truly matters to it, then it must certainly pay close attention to the public's demands and the needs of its citizens, and base its policies on their opinions. But unfortunately, this is not the case in America. Despite the claim that democracy and the will of the people prevail in America, We know that decisions about matters as important as war and domination are made by a small number of people within a particular circle, perhaps even in coordination with a genocidal regime in our region.